strange with the comedian Jack Whitehall, if you remember a few years back now, when Harry and Meghan turned up at their one and only appearance at the Royal Variety Performance. He was the guest host. A very genial chap, and of course, very, very well connected, all thanks to his father being a former agent. So Jack's done incredibly well, but let's not forget, of course, as we often say here on the show, it might be who you know. But he was interesting with Jack because he basically said that after a few cracks about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, they've cooled on him. And it got me thinking, really, who actually makes the royals laugh? So we delved into the archives, and you might be surprised at exactly who tickles the royal funny bone. Now, some people might always think, really, about our British royal family, that it's a bit like Queen Victoria, we are not amused. She never seemed like she liked anything, quite frankly, did she, But Queen Mary, of course, was quite severe, they said, and I don't know if you know this, but when she used to visit people's houses, they had to hire trinkets and, hide things away, because if she took a fancy to it and said, I like this, well, then you were apparently, you just had to give it. So she must have thought it was odd, really, Queen Mary. Whenever she turned up, people's houses must have looked bereft of things, nothing around, no ornaments, pictures, and, maybe a couple of stick chairs. I kid you not, it's in the history books. I find it fascinating. So who did make the royals laugh? Well, one in particular, who was a very funny man indeed, Frank Carson, the Irish comedian, known, of course, universally for the line, "It's the way I tell 'em." Well, he was, shall we say, a particular favourite of the late Duke of Edinburgh, His Royal Highness Prince Philip. And this was none more demonstrated than when they both met at the Royal Variety Performance in 2009 in Blackpool. And Prince Philip basically said he'd always enjoyed his comedy. Frank dined on that for a while, let me tell you. Bumped into Frank at Blackpool North Station, the glamour of this job, yes. Now, I was with a colleague, we'd been appearing in the resort, and that's exactly what happens in show business. Everybody's moving around. But who else made people laugh? Well, we do know the Queen Mother loved people like Bud Flanagan and all of that type of comedy, really from the sort of 1940s right through to the early 60s. The Crazy Gang were a particular favourite of the Queen Mother that often appeared at her local theatre, the Victoria Palace. But you see, the Queen really wasn't necessarily one of the most, shall we say, laugh out loud people. She liked her comedy a little bit more genteel. So we do know, for instance, she enjoyed Last of the Summer Wine, as did the Queen Mother. And I think we told you before how they used to have to wheel the colour television in on casters, and it all had to be silent while they watched the programme every Sunday evening. And they found it particularly amusing. I've often wondered how they found some of the Northern humour amusing, whether they understood it, of course. The Queen herself did enjoy sort of American comedy, in particular Bob Hope. She enjoyed him, and apparently each time he appeared on the Royal Variety Performance, that was always a good sign. But of course, if you're a fan of the more modern day comedy, who do the royals actually find amusing? Now, we know, for instance, that His Majesty the King absolutely adored the late and brilliant Barry Humphries, aka Dame Edna Everage. And it goes without saying, the skit in the box was one of the best things that we've ever seen the royals caught off guard for, and Camilla truly making sure that she tried to keep it in check after, of course, Dame Edna found they'd found her a better seat. Could there truly be a better seat than the royal box? But I wanted to share this particular little nugget with you and find out, who do you think the royals made laugh, and who do you think perhaps the royals could have made laugh? Which comedians? I mean, recently we lost a brilliant American comedian called Kelly Monteith, and he was kind of big over here, in the 1980s. But sadly, as I say, we lost him. But he apparently was a particular favourite of the late Princess Diana. She found his humour very pleasing. Do let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are about some of these people that have been mentioned before. And of course, do you agree with the fact that these particular comedians were right to make the royals laugh? And more importantly, can you see why? As ever, like and share and let me know in the comments below.